The number of people that actually decided to be with him just because it was quote unquote a big shot producer, music producer was supposed to take them places. And for a split second, they say, I'm just going to park some of my values and beliefs. I'm just going to follow this guy because somehow he knows exactly how to get me to the promised land. Only to find out eventually that he was far from being the right person when it comes to taking them to the promised land. The proof is in the pudding. If so and so has so much money and so is asking me to do X, Y, Z, so and so must be right. After all, what do I know about this thing I'm doing here? I know about my values. I know about my beliefs, but my beliefs and values are not putting food on the table. So therefore, I'm going to follow so and so. Whatever they're going to ask me to do, the single biggest mistake that people make. It's making decisions that are not aligned with their core beliefs. Making decisions that are not aligned with their core values. You know who you are. You have a clear picture of who you are deep inside. You know exactly the practical value you bring to the table. But you're going to go somewhere. And because of peer pressure or because you don't want to look bad or to look like the kind of person who's so not friendly, who's so not flexible, for a split second, you're still going to say, yes, I'm going to do something that I normally don't do. I'm going to do it because I'm just trying to be friendly. That split second of you making this mistake will cost you on two levels. Number one, it will cost you because as you're doing that, you are simply going to shrink from your identity. Your identity is a piece of the puzzle that's supposed to connect people around you. So when you decide that for a split second you're going to disappear, what happens is the glue that's supposed to keep people together disappears. It's a hole in the universe. It's a hole in the puzzle. And that hole can only be filled by the identity that you are carrying. That mistake that people make for a split second is beyond costly. I've seen it on numerous occasions. You will simply go somewhere and say, yes, because I'm trying to be flexible, I'm going to do something. But I know deep inside this is not who I am. I know deep inside this is not consistent with the values that I carry. This is not consistent with the beliefs that I have. But that one split decision you're going to make is going to cost you sometimes much more than you can possibly imagine. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine the number of people right now who are crying because at one point or the other, they decide to be friendly with this gentleman who is currently in jail in New York City? I'm not going to name names because I'm not a cloud chaser. The number of people that actually decided to be with him just because it was quote unquote a big shot producer, music producer was supposed to take them places. And for a split second, they say, I'm just going to park some of my values and beliefs. I'm just going to follow this guy because somehow he knows exactly how to get me to the promised land. Only to find out eventually that he was far from being the right person when it comes to taking them to the promised land. But this happened because for a split second, you say, I'm going to park some of the things I'm actually sensing as far as this person is concerned. I'm going to second guess myself. I'm going to simply trust that this person knows more than I do. That's a big mistake. And the second level where I say this mistake costs us dearly is because most of the time, and this is related to the example I just gave, we make this mistake by simply believing that yes, at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. If so and so has so much money and so is asking me to do X, Y, Z, so and so must be right. After all, what do I know about this thing I'm doing here? I know about my values. I know about my beliefs, but my beliefs and values are not putting food on the table. So therefore, I'm going to follow so and so. Whatever they're going to ask me to do, I'm going to try to do exactly what I'm going to do. And when you start doing that, that's exactly when you start literally digging your own grave. Because they're going to take you places from which you are not going to be able to come back safely. And sometimes it's just going to be a one-way street. You are going and you're going to go and be gone forever. People are never going to recognize you because you've been changed so much than the identity that you were carrying, along with the practical value you bring to the table, will simply completely forfeited because you have simply become someone completely different. Let me just end with a positive example. In 1976, a year after he came back from India, Steve Jobs get together with Steve Wozniak and they say, my goodness, I can see that this idea that you have of personal computer carries great potential. So let's just get together and see how we can brainstorm to see how we can take this thing to the next level. Next thing you know, Steve Jobs said to Steve Wozniak, let's go talk to my old boss from Atari, the CEO of Atari, Nolan Bushnell, and we're going to run this idea by him and see what he's going to say. Nolan Bushnell in the mid-1970s, he was at the top of his game. Steve Jobs, on the other, was just basically a college dropout. And we had no jobs and basically no income to justify that, yes, someone should be listening to him. So in terms of social proof, he had nothing. They go talk to Nolan Bushnell. Nolan Bushnell turns down the idea, meaning I don't see how this idea is going to go anywhere. And because I have social proof, I'm going to ask you to follow my lead and drop this idea and start doing something else, or maybe come back and work for me. But what did Steve Jobs do? He said, no, I'm not going to, even for a split second guess myself. My truth is my truth. My identity is my identity. My practical value as far as the universe is concerned is something I cannot forfeit. My place in the universe is such that I'm here to connect people. If I drop even for a split second from this place, people are going to be dropped. So I'm going to hold my truth and I'm going to stay flat-footed. And that's exactly what he did. He says, Mr. Nolan Bushnell, if you're just going to ignore this idea, that's fine. We're going to go out there and find somebody else who's going to see the potential in this business idea that we have. And of course, the rest is history. Much love, everyone. Don't make the same mistake. Believe in yourself. Take care.